Hi there. Today we're talking about tariffs. Will they work? And taking Peter Thiel's advice. So, as we know, April the 2nd, 2025, we're going to hear about the full tariff strategy from the White House in America. And it's going to be global, I think. Now, the question is, will they work? Well, the difficulty with them is that long term, tariffs lead people to economic actors, that is, whether they be individuals, companies, governments, corporations, charities, any human person or human collective. It leads them to think twice before a purchase. So we know that taxes of any kind divert people's thinking and behavior, and people try to avoid taxes as much as possible. But also, if it creates uncertainty, then you want to avoid not just the tax, the cost, but also the uncertainty. So tariffs and taxes can very quickly become toxic because unless it's very clear what they are and very clear what the duration is, they will create far too much negativity in the minds of the economic actors, which will delay their decisions. So the transaction number goes down. So cash flows, revenue, income, tax revenues go down, and therefore growth goes down. Less happens. Less transactions happen. So long term, tariffs are a problem, okay, because they're negative, they're toxically negative. They're negative and toxic. And toxic means having something too much to the point that it becomes negative. Now, if Donald Trump uses tariffs in the short term, it appears he's quite good at negotiating and getting what he wants on a short-term basis, especially if that's border control, so that, you do this on your border, or I will slap you with tariffs. And that's probably sensible because America has a border problem with drugs, with crime, with people coming across who shouldn't. There's a whole range of issues there that tariffs could assist with. But those are short-term. Tariffs, short-term approach to get the hit that you want, and you want the hit now. Okay, so short-term, they can be good, and Donald Trump has shown that. Long-term, they are inevitably bad. They're inevitably negative and toxic in nature, long-term. Now, Peter Thiel, in his book Zero to One, Peter Thiel was the creator of PayPal with Elon Musk, along with their band of merry men, and Peter Thiel was the first external investor into Facebook, as I recall. He talks in his book Zero to One about if you need to go punitive, if you need to go hostile legally, go quick and go hard. Do not go long term. So you go quick and go hard. Now, Peter Thiel was a lawyer by training, like myself, so I can decode that for you. What Peter means is that it's best to use an injunction, and that's probably good advice. Now, a short-term tariff, can operate basically like an injunction. And so a short-term tariff would work. I don't think Peter Thiel would suggest long-term tariffs that decreased economic activity and distorted it. And he's not into economic decreases and distortions from multiple reading of his book, Zero to One. So short-term tariffs, good idea, Donald Trump. Long-term tariffs, bad idea, Donald Trump. Don't do it. It'll be interesting to see what happens. There will be significant long-term effects if America turns off the conveyor belt and people just have to trade in other economic groupings that don't include America. It could be extremely, extremely costly if managed the wrong way. Canada is already very upset. Jordan Peterson's discussion with Jim Balsillie, who was one of the founders of Research in Motion that produced BlackBerry, was quite illuminating in the last week or so. He's very well worth listening to. Canada has two of the top AI universities in the world, in the top five, Edmonton and Toronto. And they're now looking at how they keep their knowledge, their data, their know-how, basically their patents, their intellectual property. So this could be a very nasty turn against the Trump doctrine, which is unfortunate because there's some good things in the Trump doctrine of sort of cutting government waste and making sure that there's fair trade, a reasonable trade, but it's got to be for both parties. Because when you have a win-win, then consumers are more likely to transact. And so that's the overall issue. So it'll be interesting to watch. Donald Trump should take some counsel from Peter Thiel, if I'm right about decoding Peter Thiel's concepts in Zero to One, about going quick and hard. Anyway, tell me what you think. Andrew at Keops Thanks.